Thanks for tuning in to the Big Money Investor Show with Jim Ingersoll, where we talk about the best strategies for you to create cash flow and long-term wealth. Investing like the very top investors. Visit us online at www.bigmoneyinvestor.com and enjoy today's show.
Welcome to the Investor Success Podcast. This show was created exclusively for investors seeking lasting cash flow, more net worth, and investing in real estate the right way. My name is Jim Ingersoll, and I'm your host for this podcast. I'm also the founder of the Investor Success Mastermind, where I have the pleasure of helping investors and real estate entrepreneurs grow their investing businesses. You can learn more about what we do at investorsuccessmastermind.com. I created this podcast to motivate and help inspire you to invest in real estate the right way, do more deals, and enjoy the benefits of investing in real estate. We've got an absolutely phenomenal show for you today. So let me jump right into it by telling you a little bit about our very special guest, Trevor Mauch. Trevor started investing when he was in college. And when he was only 21, he bought his very first 4-unit apartment building. He got the seller to give him owner financing at age 21. So those stories really do exist. And he continues to use real estate investing for his long-term wealth building. But what's really awesome about Trevor is he also founded Carrot. And Carrot is a software company that helps investors succeed. His members generate well over 300,000 leads a year. You heard that right, folks, 300,000 leads a year. All of that comes through 100% using web and inbound marketing. His main website is on carrot.com. I'm a member of the Carrot community, and you definitely need to check that out. The Carrot team has learned all kinds of cool stuff over the years to help attract more motivated sellers, cash buyers, tenants, private lenders, and more. The Carrot members hold more top 3 Google rankings for key search phrases than any other website system. Trevor loves the world of internet marketing, but his real passion has become about amplifying leaders, and that led to his entrepreneurial co-workspace, which is an 8,000 square foot launch pad for new businesses and ideas, which I absolutely love. Trevor, congratulations on your incredible journey and living life on your own terms. It's so nice to have you on our podcast today.
Man, well, I appreciate the invite, and it's always a blast for me to come on these. And it really gets me out of the normal day-to-day work, man. I just love sharing stories and talking with entrepreneurs. So it's cool.
I do too. Well, take us back to the beginning of Carrot. Like, when did it get started, and how did you first launch it and get it rolling?
Yeah, Jim, that's a good question. So thinking back, so I'm gonna go all the way back, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna go way back.
Yeah.
So this was right after college. My wife and I, we got married after college, moved up to Portland, Oregon, and around in college, I remember in the library there. I'm 33 right now. So at that time, we weren't walking around with smartphones. We weren't walking. I didn't have a laptop.
No, we weren't.
Stuff. So we really used the computers. We used the computers at the library for research, right, for our papers. And I remember sitting in there and I was browsing around the forums. At that time, creonline.com was kind of the big one. CREonline.com.
Yeah.
Bigger Pockets was just kind of getting its start at that time. It was 2004, 2005. And anyway, that kind of is what got me on my journey on real estate. And fast forward a couple of years, we moved to Portland, and I started to, want to learn how to be a better marketer. I got a degree in marketing from college, so I thought, heck, I like this, and I want to start using it some more. And I went up there and kind of gave myself a challenge, as an entrepreneur at that young age. I gave myself a challenge. I said, I don't want to get a job. I'm going to try to find out this entrepreneur thing and try to make it work. And at that time, I had owned some properties and I was making some cash flow, but it wasn't enough to. It's kind of the whole the real estate investor syndrome, where you're equity rich and cash poor kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I was. So I had to go out there and find a way to make to make money, my active money.
Active income, yeah.
Active income, and that for me was doing some marketing stuff. So I actually started working with my uncle. He was a mortgage broker, and he said, "Hey, can you help me do some marketing stuff?" So I dove in with him, man, and that's really where I had my first introduction to generating leads online. And this would have been, I'm trying to track back the years, it would have been 2007 or the end of 2006, right around there. And it's kind of funny. I remember sitting down at a desk there in his office. I was an independent contractor. He was working there half a day or so, and then I'd go home and work on my own projects and research real estate. And at that time, I thought I wanted to be a house flipper. So I set up my own website on this free website builder. I don't remember what it was, but it was from my whatever web host I was with at that time. And I would go out there and look at what the other investors were doing in that city, and I basically kind of copied them. I thought that was the way to do it. And so really working with my uncle, working on my own site there, kind of hacking it through and spending hours and hours. I'm sure people can relate to this, going, I want to move this button over here, and then going to Google and typing how to, HTML code to move button, to move button on page. And then I'd find the HTML code, I'd try it out, and then it would end up looking like a Frankenstein site, but I got a site up. And yeah, man, my uncle walked in the office one day and said, hey, he pulled up a Google search. He said, go to google.com and type in mortgage brokers in Portland. And I go, okay. So I typed it in. And he goes, how do I get right there? And he pointed to the top of the search ranking. Yeah. And he goes, how do I get right there? Because he was on page 2 somewhere. And I go, I don't know. And he goes, can you get me there? I go, I have no clue how to do it, but I'll figure it out. And that really started my journey, man, on just really learning what the internet can do for you, and really learning the power of search engines, the power of content, the power of conversion optimization, of when you get someone to a website, how do you actually get them to follow through and become a lead? And it really led me on my journey of learning human psychology and how people work and how people interact with elements on the web. And all of that knowledge over the next 3 years built up into us working with real estate investors. We were setting up these random WordPress websites, just onesie, twosie websites. And we were doing it for free because they had bought, some other things from us. And they're like, hey, all the websites are crappy out there. Who do you guys recommend? We didn't love any of them, so we were just setting up these even crappier WordPress sites. But it was about 2013 when I had gone through my own journey as an entrepreneur and just in life, and that might be something that we talk through later, as a massive transition in my life from, we might go into that later, man. It's something I think a lot of the people on this call are probably going through a transition where they see where they want to go, but for some reason cannot get there. They might even be waking up in the morning not wanting to get out of bed and go do the work that they have put themselves in their real estate job. And that's how I was. I had my own company, but I did not want to wake up in the morning and do the work that I created for myself. And I went through this massive transformation, which we can go into later. But right around 2013, that's where we said, you know what? I see this with a bigger vision now. I really feel there's a massive need, not just for real estate investors, for real estate agents, for attorneys, for you name it, for small business. There's a massive need out there for a high-performing inbound marketing system that is, honestly, I'm just going to be completely transparent here, that's between the $50 a month and $250 a month price range, that actually performs, that actually focuses on ROI, that converts. Because there's nothing in the entire market that I found, not just real estate investors, but outside of that fit that need. You could find it at the $1,000 a month level with HubSpot, or $3,000 a month with HubSpot, or you could hire a custom web developer for thousands and hope that they know what they're doing with SEO and with conversion optimization. Most don't. And that's kind of how it started, man. It started with our first customer, and now we have a little over 2,000.
2,000 customers. That is incredible. So you and I both jumped into real estate about the same time, which was 2006, 2007. And you mentioned both BiggerPockets and CRE Online, and JP Vaughn that founded CRE Online is passed, but she's a very good friend of mine and an incredible person. So I just want to take a second to sort of honor her legacy there a little bit. So I was glad you mentioned that. That is an amazing way to start. So that was great. You want to talk a little bit more about this idea of transition and transformation for everybody? Because I think you're right. There's a lot of people trying to connect those dots and figure out how to do it.
Man, it's funny. So I was driving up. I live here in Roseburg, Oregon. It's just a small town here in Oregon.
Is it near Portland? How close to Portland is that?
2.5 hours south. So if you get on I-5, it's the main interstate, run north-south. You get on I-5, drive 2.5 hours south of Portland, you're in Roseburg. And so I was driving on an I-5 yesterday, heading up to Eugene, which is about an hour north of me. It's where the Oregon Ducks are based. And I was picking up Adrian on our team. He was flying in from North Carolina. We're having our big Carrot team retreat this week, and we're going to go out and do some cool things over on the coastline this weekend. But he was flying in, and as I was driving up there, I was remembering this conversation on the same road with a fellow investor, a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He's a Carrot customer as well. His name was Alex Pardo. And Alex and I were on a call about a year ago as I was doing that same drive, and he said, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he said, I've seen you go through this transformation, and I want to get you on the phone because I feel like I'm in where you were. I feel like I am in that spot where I'm doing good. I have a great business. I'm making good money. I feel like we're doing it the right way. But internally, when you get up and you feel like you're just not crazy fired up about what you're doing, when you wake up and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis tends to be more stuff that you don't like to do than the stuff that fires you up, that you get to the end of your day and you feel like your energy is drained versus you're on an energy high by the end of the day because of all the work you've been doing, the stuff you love to do, that you sit there and you're trying to rack your head against the wall, trying to figure out what your passion and purpose and mission in life is, and this is in 2010 through 2012 after I had my first daughter. Then we had Colton, our little boy, in 2012, and we had a couple companies that were doing well. And from the outside in, I think everyone probably thought that I had it made, right?
Right.
But from the inside, I was waking up and not wanting to work. I was literally waking up and not wanting to get out of bed, and sometimes I wouldn't get out of bed until 10 in the morning. And I think anytime we're in a position like that in life where you're not excited to get up in the morning, to get after whatever impact it is that you want to make in the world, or you're not excited to get up and do the work that you have chosen to do, and you start to think, man, did I make the wrong choice? Am I trapped in this life? Am I trapped in this job? Am I trapped in this company that I created? And that's really where I was. And I didn't know what the answer was. I thought I need to find my purpose. Once I find my purpose, and that will make everything better. And I'd read books and I would talk to people, and you'd see the Gary Vaynerchuk videos. They're like, hey, if you're passionate about knitting scarves in your basement, build a business about knitting scarves in your basement. And I love Gary's message. I've met him a couple times, but I kept on hitting this wall where I'm like, I love golfing. I love mountain biking. I'm really passionate about those. How am I going to create a business out of those? Like, I just could not figure it out. So I was beating myself up about it. Now I'm going to throw a couple things at everyone listening here that helped me go through that transformation.
Great.
And it's almost like this story arc in life, and I fully expect there to be more downs. I'm in a really good spot in life right now, but I fully expect there to be downs, and I think we all have to prep for it being like a roller coaster, but have the framework and the knowledge and how to get yourself back up. And that's what I didn't have during that 2-year period where I didn't have the framework, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the best practices to get me to go back up to the top of that roller coaster and get me on that hill climb. And the first thing I did, Jim, is if anyone listening to this call is having a struggle with what are you passionate about? What is your purpose in life? And you're kind of making up something that is a purpose, but it's not hitting you in your gut. It's like this right here, that is what I'm going to wrap everything that I'm doing in my business, in my life. I'm going to wrap everything around pushing that forward. If you don't have that, that's probably not your purpose. Back then, I would put a purpose for our business, to help create 1 million entrepreneurs, across America. I thought it was really, really cool. But it also felt like this big daunting task. It didn't hit me in my gut and excite me. It felt like it was like this weight on my shoulders. Like, how am I going to do that? And so the thing that helped me the most was this right here, was that, that moment I said, you know what if I just stopped searching for my purpose and stopped beating myself up about it? What if I just say, pardon my French, but screw looking for my purpose this year. Let me make my purpose just doing the best that I can possibly do at everything I do this year. Because I had looked back at the previous couple of years where I was doing so many things. I invested in 2 companies. I bought another company. I had multiple products going in our companies. I had the real estate stuff. And my schedule was just getting maxed out, and I would just feel like I'm doing all this work and not getting anything done and not feeling like I'm really making an impact in the world. And so I looked back and went, man, that company right there, that could have been way better and bigger and made much bigger impact if I actually focused on it. And my wife and my kids, I could be such a better dad and such a better father if I actually did my best. And for me, it was as simple as that, man. Literally that year, which I think that would have been 2013, that year in January, I said, this year my mission and my purpose in life is by the end of this year to look back and go, okay, I did the best I could possibly do at everything I did, and I took everything as far as I could take it that year. And that's the year that I cleaned my plate, man. I read this book called The Pumpkin Plan.
I've read it.
Read that. Yep, everyone should read it. You should read it. Probably read page 16 in The Pumpkin Plan once a quarter, and then do it. All
right, so I've got the Pumpkin Plan on my bookshelf. Now I'm gonna have to go check out what's on page 16 because I've read it, but it's been a little while. I think Daniel Clayman and I read it at the same time. I remember. So page 16. Yeah, I got my own note for that one. Well, I knew it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at my bookshelf right now as you're saying that, trying to find my copy of it, and before you turn to page 16, let me pull up my computer and just make sure it is
No, it's
I'm pretty positive.
Pumpkin Plan. It's a great book.
The Pumpkin Plan. And for everyone listening to this, you can actually get the PDF of that for free. Of the first chapter, just type the Pumpkin Plan PDF, and you'll get the first chapter for free. And I'm bringing it up right now. And literally, I did not read past page 18 in this book. I shut it, and I've told so many people about this book. So, yeah, it's page 15 and page 16 in that book.
All right.
Amazing. So, anyway, what I did during that phase, man, and I think a lot of people experience this, you start to see some sort of success or you see a lot of opportunity and you think you have to do a ton of things, right? You think, okay, this looks great, that looks great, let me do this. And because I was successful here, I can also be successful there. But what we do is we chase all this opportunity without setting up the structure to be able to scale and really succeed at multiple things at once. As a solo operator, you really can't crush it in too many things at once without having all of them suffer. And that's what was happening with my life and my companies before, is they were all doing pretty mediocre because I was spreading myself too thin and hadn't built up the structure, the systems, the team to take those and push them forward. And so I sold my share in 2 companies that year. That sounds really fancy, but I sold them at a massive discount just to get away from them so I could get that mind space. And then that year is when once I got rid of those opportunities, got rid of those companies that just I knew weren't at my core going to help me make the biggest impact I could make. It's amazing what happens when you free up that mind space, how you look at life differently. It's amazing how you start to perceive things in a different way. And honestly, I started to look at opportunity in the world in a much bigger way. Before I was trapped in looking at these little pods of opportunity that really weren't all that big, but they were good. And you could build a multiple six-figure a year business off of it. But at that point, we had this little side website business kind of thing where we were setting up these free websites for people and just charging them $10 a month in hosting. And I said, wow, this is an opportunity here, not just in real estate, but the entire small business world. I saw this massive opportunity.
Right.
And I said, okay, this right here, going into the start of that year, I didn't know what my main active income focus would be. You know, I knew real estate would always be a passive income and long-term wealth builder, but I didn't know what my active income focus was going to be going into 2013. Even though I had a consulting company and things like that were bringing in income, I wanted to tackle something big. And that's where Carrot came up. And that's when we came up with the idea, the name of Carrot. It's general enough that we can work with investors, with agents, with, attorneys if we want.
Small business, lawyers, I mean, everybody, really. You're right.
Anything, man. I'll throw this one last nugget at people on this. And Adrian and I actually were talking about this on the drive into the office today from the house. And it's one thing I found during that period, Jim, that I really discounted before, that I appreciate a lot more now, but still I catch myself tripping up now sometimes, is I learned that the small things are way, way, way more important than I ever thought they were before. And here's an example. Growing up, I had two brothers, one older and one younger, and I shared a bedroom with my younger brother, Kyle.
So did I, the exact same thing.
Yeah. So
awesome.
he was 6 years younger than me. We had bunk beds, the whole thing. And a side note, my younger brother Kyle is an amazing entrepreneur as well. He owns a clothing company called Athletes Brand, works with all kinds of charities and with all kinds of professional athletes. So kudos to him. But our bedroom was always a mess. Like, it was always a mess. It was one of those ones where my mom, like, once a month would say, hey, you guys have to wade into your room and at least get it to where we can see the carpet. And so we would go in there and we'd spend the whole Saturday cleaning up our bedroom. And I think just those years of just not being the cleanest, most organized person in the world, it led into my adult life. And I just kind of thought that that's the way that I was, that I wasn't going to change. It's like, I haven't been the cleanest person in the world. I just maybe inherently am just not organized. So that was like a free pass for me to have some things in disarray, to have your desk a mess, your car a mess, your shirt drawer, your closet, things like that. And in that period of time, during 2013, when I made that challenge to myself that my mission and purpose in life that year was to do the best I could possibly do at everything, it meant the little things as well, and little things especially. And I remember vividly, I was telling Adrian this morning, I said, there were instances where I would catch myself, and I would always ask the question, okay, is that the best that I could do? And one time I washed a dish, and I just had a habit of taking the dish and putting it on the counter. And I had full intentions of coming back later and putting it in the dishwasher. But oftentimes my wife would grab it and put it in there, and I'd be like, oh, babe, I'll get it next time. Sorry. But I put it on the counter. I took 2 steps away, and I stopped dead in my tracks, and I go, that's not the best I can do. And I turned back around.
You just made me feel guilty. Now, tonight, Cheryl, I've been married 29 years, Trevor. I got married really young, and so so I'm going to have to do better in that category.
There you go. So, I grabbed the dish, put it in the dishwasher, I go, okay. And then it's probably a month later or so, I was grabbing a T-shirt out of my T-shirt drawer. And my T-shirt drawer has always been a mess. I fold it once a quarter, and I'm like, I have full intentions on keeping it clean. And I want that T-shirt at the bottom of the pile. I pull it up, and then bam, it's a mess, and it's going to be like that for months. And so I open up my T-shirt drawer one time. I go, this is ridiculous. Like, those little things in life that are a mess in our lives, they all weigh on us. They make us less creative. They make it so we can't think as big. They make it so it's a lot harder to open up that space in our mind to really find that passion and purpose. And so right then and there, I wasn't planning on doing it, but I dumped my whole shirt drawer, got rid of half my shirts, folded them. My plain T-shirts with no printing on the right, ones with print are on the left. It's been that way ever since 2013. Yep. So 3.5 years later, my T-shirt drawer has been pristine. Same thing happened with my closet 2 or 3 months later. And what I found was as number one, as we challenge ourselves to do the best we can do, it trickles up to the big things, right? It makes it so your $100,000 a year business, now you've busted through that ceiling, and now you can do $1 million a year because you've changed your mindset. The best you can do now is now better. And also, those little things stack up. I heard there was a commencement speech from a general. It was on YouTube. You guys can find it. Amazing speech. And this guy, this was a couple of years after, I started doing this in my life, taking care of the little things. The general was giving the speech, and he basically told his story of what happened in boot camp and how he made it through. Basically, it was his success tips on life from this 5-star general or whatever he was. And he said, I showed up to my first day in boot camp. And there's a lot of things that they make you do that you're sitting there scratching your head as a 18, 19-year-old kid wondering why they're asking you to do this. And he said, one of the things is in the bunkhouse or whatever they call it, in the barracks, one of the first things you learn is how to polish your shoes, how to fold your bed perfectly, how to fold and iron your clothes in this very certain perfect way. And he said that they really held you to that, where, if it wasn't perfect during your checks each day, you were going to get reprimanded. And all those young guys were going, why are we doing this? We joined the military so we could go to war and help defend our country. We didn't come so we can help learn how to polish shoes. He said it wasn't until he got in battle, in real battle, where it was life and death situation, where he had his comrades next to him, then it hit him one time. He said, I am so glad I'm in a foxhole right now with someone who took care of the small things so their mind and everything is clear so they can take care of the big things right now. He said, I would not want to be in a foxhole with someone who was not disciplined enough to get those small things done at the start of the day. And that hit me as well in a big way.
And I really like Darren Hardy. He's written The Compound Effect and The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster. They're both really good. But he talks about that same concept, Trevor, where he talks about taking small steps, and then as they compound and you do them consistently over time, you can accomplish really any goal that you want. But it does start with those small steps and then being consistent and persistent and staying focused. Those small, smart choices consistently repeated over time will make a big difference.
It's huge, and like I said, the biggest thing I've got out of that, Jim, and I know there's people listening to this who are going, oh my gosh, I was coming on here to learn about this lead generation tactic, or I was hoping that you would give me this magic bullet that, if I did this one thing that my life would change.
Right.
But for me, I could not be where I am now if I did not go through that 1.5-year transformation where I took care of a lot of this mindset crap, where I stopped beating myself, over the head about me not finding my purpose that hit me. I freed it up, and my purpose was doing my best that year, where I started really focusing on doing the small things and doing my best at everything, including the small things. And it was those things, Jim, that opened up my mind to then receive all of the big stuff later. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but toward the end of that year, that's where I really started to go, oh my gosh, things started to creep into my life that I was so distracted with all the stuff before and all the clutter, figuratively and literally, that I wasn't able to see the stuff that was right in front of me the whole time. And what I am just crazy passionate about right now, which is the reason I've talked about this in the call so far, not about lead generation, which we do a lot of that too, but is I really love and just crazy passionate about amplifying leaders like you, like the people who are on this call who want to make an impact in the world. Because I know if I can amplify you and you can go out there and make your bigger impact, whatever that impact is, that my impact is going to be a lot bigger than me just doing one-to-one, working with one-to-one person. And that just excites me. That's what made the Loft Entrepreneur Workspace here really grow.
Yeah, so talk about that. It's like 8,000 square feet launch pad. I mean, that's an awesome idea. How did that come about? Yeah, so it was funny. It was in a similar time period. So my wife and I, we moved from Portland, Oregon down to Roseburg in 2008 to follow her work. And the first couple of years, it was kind of
I was working out of my home office, and I think a lot of people that work out of a home office, you can probably relate that, it's the lines are really blurred when you work out of your home, between home and work, family and work. And, so in 2010, we had McKinley, our first daughter, and my office was actually one of our bedrooms upstairs. I had painted the way I wanted it. I had the crown molding up there. I had my little desk position so I could look out the view, and I had it, man. I had it right where I wanted it. And then we had McKinley, and that bedroom just made perfect sense to be her bedroom, her nursery. And so that started my journey on going, okay, what am I going to do now as far as office? I can't work off the kitchen table. I don't want to work in the guest bedroom because I really do want a space that's mine. I don't want to have a desk and a space that's for something else. I didn't want to go and just rent an office. That was probably the most logical step, was to go downtown where there's a lot of vacant properties and just rent an office and just work. But for me, I don't know about you, but for me, one of the biggest things that I was missing with working at home, even though we had a small team of people, and I talked to people all the time on the phone, the thing I was missing was really the connection. I was really missing the community. I was really missing those kind of happenstance opportunities that you get when you're walking by someone in the hall or grabbing something out of the refrigerator or coming in your office and having a quick update on how their life is going and how their Monday went or something. And I was just missing that, man. So I looked up in the physical phone book. It was funny. I actually picked up a real phone book. I looked in the phone book for any type of profession that looked interesting to me. So I just went to marketing and looked up all the marketing companies. And then I did Google them. And I found one that looked really interesting. And I emailed them and said, hey, you have no clue who I am. You kind of look like you guys are doing cool work. I like marketing and stuff. Can I come meet you? And that's all it was. And I just came and met him. We ended up having lunch a couple times. And then I told him what I was looking for. I said, hey, I want an office, but I'm not really looking forward to getting one of my own. Do you have a desk in your office that I could rent? He goes, I don't, but there's this building downtown that I used to own, and it's vacant now, and it's amazing upstairs.
Wow.
He sold it several years before. He goes, go get a hold of the landlord, and I wouldn't doubt if you can work something out with him. And he said, if you do, I'll move back in there, and I'll be your first tenant. And I said, done. So I gave the guy a call. Came down. We had 8,000 square foot, amazingly renovated, vacant for a year, downtown Roseburg. This was in the middle of the recession, so it was hard to rent office space.
Right.
And negotiated a crazy deal that if I was to tell you, which I'll tell you what it was, you guys wouldn't believe me, but I locked down 8,000 square feet on our main area, amazingly renovated, took zero work, ready to move in. We have I think 13 or 14 offices, a big old boardroom. 15 foot higher, however tall this is, ceilings, exposed brick walls. We have a bar. We have a lounge. We have all kinds of open space.
I've seen the pictures in your Facebook, and I've even seen some of your Facebook Live videos. it's amazing space.
So $200 a month. So I locked it down for $200 a month.
It's awesome.
So that's something I want to throw at everyone is this is another huge lesson that I had learned during that time period. The reason why I was able to lock it down for $200 a month was not because they were hurting so bad. It was because I painted this vision. I started to get really good at selling a vision, man. Yeah, having the purpose of selling a vision. And if you have a vision you truly believe in, and you can sell your vision well, it's going to be able to move people. And I sold them this vision. I said, can you imagine downtown Roseburg? It's one of the most depressed parts of rural Oregon right now. Can you imagine it being a full, bustling place of amazing young entrepreneurs doing work here? And he's like, no, I can't. How are you going to do that? And I go, I don't know, but I think if we can create an energy here, it's going to attract people. It's going to keep people in Roseburg. It's going to keep people starting companies here. And fast forward 5 years, we're the only office space in town that has a waiting list. We charge more per square foot than anyone, and it's a blast. So.
That's a great story, and I love the way you're giving back to, and you're creating opportunities. And personally, I absolutely love masterminds and masterminding for some of those same reasons. We were talking about it before we started the recording, actually. But what you've created there is like an ongoing mastermind environment. And the more that I find myself around the right people and in the right room with the right people, the more opportunities that I see. And I met Dave Steck recently in North Carolina, and he said, why don't you just add another zero to every goal you have? Yeah. You get in the right room with people like that, and they challenge you, and you start to see new ideas and new opportunities, and you get inspired, you get motivated, you have a passion, you have purpose, and it really does start to transform your life to kind of pull that full circle. I completely agree with you. I think that's an awesome story.
It's so amazing, and one of the things that I did it by accident. I wish I could take credit for it, but it was by accident. The people that are in here, probably the first 4 or 5, I was wanting people that I just wanted to hang out with, right? It's like, hey, you're cool, and it'd be kind of cool, working here, and come on in here. And the few of them ended up leaving just because they transitioned their own business and actually got jobs or whatever. But after that, once I really decided that, and once it came to me that I just love amplifying leaders, I started looking for that all the time. I started looking for people that I saw were making a smaller impact than I thought that they could make. I saw people who were living smaller than I thought that they could live. And I'm not just talking financial. I'm talking whatever their unique ability and their unique gift is, they weren't getting out to the world as much as I thought they could, but they had a lot of potential. They had started. And so I would find these people, and I'd be like, hey, I'm not going to sell you on coming in here, but you need to work here, and here's why. And I would start to surround myself with people who not only that I feel could amplify, but also people who I had a lot to learn from. Here's a few examples. One of the guys that had been showing up to our young entrepreneur pub talks that we hold each month. This guy, he's mid-40s, and he's a very unassuming person. He's an awesome dude, but he would show up in his workout shorts or just jeans and a T-shirt to our pub talks. And great guy. And I got to talking with him and hearing from other people. I was like, you guys, you know who that is? And I go, his name is Seth. He's an awesome guy. And he's like, yeah, he's a really successful entrepreneur. You should look him up. Come to find out, this guy sold his first company, a tech company. He was 29 for just under $20 million.
Wow.
He went on to make some bad investments, went on to become the co-founder and CEO of another tech company in the same industry, which did $58 million last year.
Wow.
And they just sold that in January, February this year. And he moved into the loft about a year ago. And I'm going, man, kind of my mission with the people I surround myself with is I always want to find people that I can help amplify and that they have a skill set or something within them that can help amplify me and my message and my impact. And there's a video production guy here. I'm like, I could totally help them amplify. But having a video production guy here in the office is going to make it easier for me to get my message out there to more people. Because now there's a guy one office away from our content studio that tomorrow is going to roll the lighting equipment in there. I'm going to do a bunch of videos tomorrow so I can get my message out there and amplify more leaders. And
I love
amazing people here. Yeah,
I was in a mastermind last December, Trevor, where a really good friend of mine, Walter Wolford, kept asking me. He asked me repeatedly, why? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to do this? And it started to almost get a little bit annoying, to be honest with you, but it really drilled down into why you want to do it, because if you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to get it done. You're not going to be motivated and inspired, and it all pulls right back into this whole transformation process that you've been talking about. Well, let's get back to...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'll throw this one nugget out. So kind of piggybacking off of what you mentioned on that why question, because that is a great question. I think most people start their why is so they can quit their job. Their why is, which is really valid, which is definitely valid. But their why is so I can have a better lifestyle. And those were my whys too. So I can have more financial freedom and this and that. But what ends up happening, and I'm sure you've experienced as well, is once you get your finances taken care of, and once you have money in the bank and things like that, which is the period that I was in 2010, 11, 12, probably 11, 12 mainly. I had money in the bank. I wasn't really spending it. All of those things that were my why 3 years before were exactly what were kind of trapping me in that situation, making me unhappy. And if we tie our why to something that is a continually moving target, like finances, because as soon as you make 10 grand a month, you're going, shoot, I could do 30 now. As soon as I do 30, it's like, shoot, let's go for 60. And that's exactly what happened to me. If you're tying your happiness or your why to these numbers, those numbers, there's always a bigger number. Numbers never end. And so make sure your why is something that hits you in your gut. That is
I always say your why should make you cry. Your why make you cry. And for me, part of the reason I love masterminding and really coaching as well, for that matter, is because I love watching it transform other people's lives. And just to transition here just a little bit, Trevor, you've seen some of that with Carrot. You've seen your product transform other people's lives in a similar way that you've seen your own life transform. I'm sure. Would you agree?
Totally, man. I think I mentioned at the start of this call, it's kind of funny timing, but Adrian, one of our first, I don't know, Adrian, you're probably one of our first 50. Yeah.
Wow.
So Adrian is probably one of our first 50 customers back in 2013 or whenever it was.
Wow.
And it's just been really cool seeing him grow and have those struggles, but also see those successes. And now he's a full-fledged member of the Carrot team, while he's still doing multiple deals a month with Carrot. And it's just that's the thing that fires me up, man.
Me too.
Doing the deals and getting leads, that's all cool. But it's funny, internally here at Carrot, we use this software called Slack. And Slack is just this, it's a team communication tool, right? And it basically integrates all of your communication and all kinds of really cool stuff. Anyway, we created a channel in there. I mean, I think I know I told Daniil about this years ago too, and most of my friends have now created the same channel, but we created a channel that we call the Thread of Awesomeness. It's just awesomeness is what we call it. And what we started to find was, no matter what business you're in, it's really easy to get focused in on the transactional part of your customer succeeding, or the transactional part of your business succeeding. So if you're selling widgets, you're selling, I'm just going to think of something really boring as an example. Let's say you're selling, I don't know, like caster wheels, like this is metal wheels, right? This is object that's really boring. What impact is that going to make for people? And if you're tying the meaning, the purpose of that person who's on the assembly line, what is their purpose? Why are they putting these wheels together? How can you make their job more meaningful to them, that when they go to work every day, they feel like they're making an impact? They're not just making a paycheck. And the way you can do it is you have a thread of awesomeness. You find some ways to really go out there and have conversations with your customers on a very continual basis. And you ask them how they're using your product. You ask them the successes they're having with it, the failures they're having with it, the troubles, the things they love about it. You ask them, like with us, Adrian and I, right before this, we're thinking of, man, like what can we do in the mornings for manually reaching out to as many clients as we can to see how they're doing. No one in our industry is doing that. And we're just going to be manually reaching out to people based off of the data in our system. If it shows you're getting, you got 5 leads this week, we want to reach out to you manually and see how the heck those did for you.
Right.
We want to see if those are turning into deals for you. And when we can use that thread of awesomeness to share those successes, it fires the rest of the team up. It makes it so we know why we're doing this. So when someone pops something in there and says, here's a good example, Timothy Apple, a young kid I think he got laid off from his job early last year, came to Carrot after he developed his own custom WordPress site, I believe it was, and he was driving pay-per-click traffic to it. And the other website, he tried to model it after stuff that he saw online, like I did at the beginning. His other websites didn't convert well. And when you're driving pay-per-click traffic and you're paying for every single click going to a website that is not set up to convert really well, that hurts. Joined Carrot, went through and started engaging in our mastermind phone calls, hopping on one-on-one strategy calls with Adrian. He went out there and implemented. That's obviously the key.
Right. You got to take action.
You got to take action. And we ended up getting, he posted on Facebook, this is like a week or two ago. He said, it's officially my first year as an entrepreneur, my first full year in business. And he said, basically my life has changed. I can't go back to having life the other way. There's things that are harder as an entrepreneur. There's, whatever, but I'm not going to go back to having a job ever again. And he's just so happy. And then in the comments section, I just congratulated him. He's like, man, I could not have done that without you guys. That's what fires us up. That stuff goes right in the Awesomeness channel. And our team, we give each other digital high fives whenever we see that stuff come through.
Yeah, and you're right. That goes back to why. So I received one of those last week as well, Trevor. I received it last week from a Carrot subscriber, by the way. I know because he's in my coaching program. But he said, I just pulled up his email. I said, Jim, I thought you'd like to see this today, June 18th, 2014, just two years ago to the day. I signed up for a $30,000 program. They took me to the cleaners and left me dry in the wind. 6 months later, I had a lot of debt, and I was trying to figure out whether I had to file bankruptcy. And then after hearing podcasts and webinars and stories through content that I provide, it's hard to believe that things can turn around. And now stressing over money does not keep me up at night. And he goes on to talk about success, and he's a Carrot subscriber, by the way, so you get part of this, Trevor. Mm-hmm. And then he sent me copies of 5 checks on deals he's closed in the last week, 1 week. And that's awesome. What gets me excited, to go from 2 years ago where you're really struggling to, wow, he made it. He actually did it. He took action, took massive action, generated leads, created real estate deals, and active income. So you're right. So I'm glad you shared that story as well.
Man, and that kind of stuff right there, Jim, like that almost, when you really think about it, like that, that's probably changing that person's entire family tree for the next generation.
Absolutely.
Literally.
Yes.
Like that's how big of a deal it is.
So again, we keep talking about why and passion and mission. I mean, that is part of my why for doing this as well. And it's one of the reasons I do the podcast. Talk a little bit about your keyword report, because it is a massive tool and it did just come out again. How did you guys work that out with Ad Nerds, and why is it so important that people should be aware of what it is?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I know we're running short on time here, so I'll be brief with it. But we rolled out this pretty massive, as you mentioned, pay-per-click report. So for Google pay-per-click, and we teamed up with our pay-per-click marketing partner here at Carrot. We have a marketplace that we pre-vet the vendors and make sure that you're working with people who are legit and specialize in this and whatever. Anyway, AdWords Nerds, they were the guys who really compiled all the data, and it was over 3 million searches were a part of this this data set. They're all campaigns that Dan and his team had ran, so it wasn't stuff that we grabbed from some blog post that someone else wrote. It's like all data that us or his team had our hands on. And over 5,500 motivated house seller leads. And basically it distilled it down into how to really find the most profitable keywords, but not just the keywords, because with Google pay-per-click, it's quite a bit different than search engine optimization. Where SEO, let's say you're going after the search phrase, sell my house fast Atlanta, as an example. With pay-per-click, if you put that in as a keyword, you're going to be wasting a lot of money, because they have these things called match types, and they're all explained in that report. And anyway, so this report walks you through. I think we give you the top 804 most profitable keywords that we found through this research, and we'll show you the exact match types of those keywords in there. We suggest that you don't take the keywords and just go upload them to your Google AdWords account. but take this as inspiration. Take it as, okay, let me start here. But then you or whoever's managing your AdWords account is still going to need to monitor it, still going to need to make sure you're checking to see if those specific keywords are going to work in your area really well. But as far as I know, this is the only report that's been this exhaustive for real estate investors that's ever been released that is encompassing this much traffic, this many leads in markets all across the country. So it wasn't just one person that, had seen this result in Houston. It's markets,
right.
every market
I
across
think
the country.
I can't imagine Dan and his team, who's Dan Barrett, right? Analyzing over 3 million real estate investor-specific keywords and 5,500 converted PPC leads, and then compiling it into a data report like that is phenomenal. And I'm going to put a link to that onto the podcast post on my website as well for everybody. But it's great. All right. We have covered so much, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. This is the longest podcast I've ever done, Trevor, because I told you before we started how excited I was to talk to you.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
So let me encourage everybody again to get over to the OnCarrot group, be part of this movement that will allow you to get out there and generate leads. I've got a lot of members in my Investor Success Mastermind group, Trevor, that are using your sites, and they are getting phenomenal results with your websites. So thank you for helping them. Also, through the Bank Elimination Blueprint folks that I've got with Daniel Klayman, same thing. There's a lot of folks using your sites, and they're getting great results. I personally got one. It's very easy to set up. I didn't do it myself. I had my sister-in-law, Tracy, do mine. She had never built a website before, Trevor, and I gave her this task, and she went out and built it without asking me any questions. So even for the novice who's never done a website before, get out there, build it, go to all of their mastermind calls and their one-on-one sessions and learn a lot about SEO. You're going to really have a great time, and you're going to get phenomenal results. And frankly, right now, if you're able to go out there and find deals, you're gonna clean up investing, either as a wholesaler, a flipper, a note investor, private lending, all those things. You're going to clean up if you're able to go out there and find those motivated sellers. And that's exactly what these websites with Investor Carrot allow you to do. Do you have anything in closing for everybody here, Trevor? Any final tips or anything?
No, I mean, I don't want to open up the bag of worms, otherwise I'll keep talking. So, but yeah, I think the thing that I'll end on is once again, I think people probably came in the call looking for one thing and got something else, and I hope that you really take that to heart and realize that it is oftentimes the small things that help you do the big things better and faster. And I know we all try to take shortcuts and we all try to do different things like that. And there are some things that can help you streamline the process, like Carrot, like joining a coaching program or getting a course from you. Those things help you streamline the process in a big way and cut the learning curve. But we have to make sure we're taking care of those small things in life at a personal level. They're going to open up our minds so we can really attract and receive the things that are going to help us make the biggest impact in our lives. So I just encourage everyone to go out there and do that.
That is great advice. When I was trying to come up with a name for this podcast, Trevor, I could have done cash flow, real estate, all this stuff, but I really wanted the word success in there. And this is probably the first episode where I jumped on with a really great guest like yourself, intending to talk a lot about real estate and things like that, but we really dug into the mindset of success. And without that foundation, you won't succeed. I mean, success starts with that 6 inches between your ears, and you've got to believe that you can do this, and you got to take care of those little things was great tips. So I think you just built a phenomenal foundation for everybody. So thank you again for coming on to the Investor Success Podcast today.
Jim, excellent. I appreciate the invite, and let me know if I can help anytime at all.
All right. Again, my name is Jim Ingersoll, and I'm not just the host for this podcast episode. I'm also the founder of the Investor Success Mastermind, where I get to help investors find their path to success. You can learn more about it on investorsuccessmastermind.com. You can email me if you have follow-up questions, jim@investingnownetwork.com, and I look forward to hearing more stories like the ones we talked about earlier. That's what really gets Trevor and I excited, is watching other people succeed and doing it. So Trevor, thanks again. Best of luck as you continue this journey. I can't wait to see what the next several years do for you as you go out there and you're passionate about helping other people.
Likewise, Jim. I appreciate it, man. Have an amazing rest of the week.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends and social media contacts, and visit us online at www.bigmoneyinvestor.com.